We have, a lot of money has come into the town coffers from this institution as well.
No doubt. What was it? I mean, they were one of our biggest utility customers when operating. Isn't that correct? They were one. They were one of the largest.
And they were a large meal taxpayer, believe it or not.
Yep.
But that's not the first time the institution been late on light bills.
That's correct. Well, it was water, wasn't it? Was it water?
No, it was water sewer.
It was the whole utility thing. All right. Members of council, what's your pleasure?
They seem like they ought to have we talking about the Methodists.
DMAC, yes.
Yeah. It seemed like they ought to have a moral obligation to pay what they owe.
I make a motion to give them till Friday at close of business at 5 p.m. and we'll shut the power off then and urge Philip to get a plan in place prior to that, hopefully. Hopefully, giving them a few days, they can say, all right, well, let's sell this. Hopefully they can do something. So Friday, close of business,
If it ain't paid, cut it off.
Cut it off.
cut it off.
Second.
Mr. Scott has seconded the motion.
I'm sorry.
All right.
I think that's probably a wise thing.
We can't
I feel,
prolong it, but
I realize there's a yin and the yang to it, and there's no really comfortable middle ground.
No. And I don't think whatever this council does tonight,
I don't think we can err from what we've set up as policy in the past.
That's why you got a problem.
And treat other people. I only brought up what I brought up because I wanted to weigh the responsibility of the decision.
absolutely. And I don't think whatever this council decides tonight, however this vote goes, is going to affect the retro hospitality of those folks. This has no bearing on the future of the building. Unless someone breaks in and decides to
Burns
demolish
it off or
it
something.
with the, okay. We'll have a roll call vote on Mr. Nash's motion, starting with Mr. Hamner.
Abstain.
Aye.
All right.
The motion carries 6-0. Good job, Mr. Nash. Moving right along, we have committee referrals. Mr. Scott mentioned, I believe, about possibly a downtown truck bypass last month. Wasn't it you?
It was a couple of months ago.
It was December?
more and more people.
Well,
But can we make, I mean, I don't know, is it possible to make trucks go?
He checked.
Victoria did. Victoria has a truck bypass.
The street committee had asked me to check with VDOT to see if it was possible to have a truck detour, mandatory truck detour around downtown, and I provided back to the street committee a written response from VDOT stating that they felt like the Brown Street bypass was not adequate
Wow.
to satisfy the truck requirements.
Probably simply because of what it's gonna cause up there at Brown and Church, the congestion, I guess.
And potentially that could be the case, but they didn't give a specific explanation other than, in their opinion, Brown Street was an inadequate bypass. Okay, so we can get more details, we can continue, but this is just a result of a citizen coming in who has recently moved here as a part of the Fast C project and said, it is a zoo, man, what are y'all doing? How can this be? And I said, we've kind of talked about this, we've kind of dealt with this on many occasions, and I think council's wrestled with it. He said, man, please ask your council to seriously consider that.
Determine what's considered a truck, 18-wheeler?
I don't know. There's different definitions based on GVW for commercial vehicles, so I really just don't know how we would describe it.
The part down Dinwiddie Avenue is down near, like, when it comes up beside Brothers, that's adequate, but they're probably thinking, when you get toward the old Blackstone Fuel and Supply, it's narrow there. The truck detour is wide. The one in Victoria is very wide. It's only an issue that's been discussed. I remember, 15 years ago, there were people on South Main Street here, screaming at council for relief because the trucks were rumbling their house, but we go through phases and different issues, and we revisit issues. And
There's almost 100 loads of logs that go into Arbor Tech every day. It's a lot of logs. If you're working police or you're out on the streets and you see it or you live through it every day, there's a good portion of those 90 trucks come through the town of Blackstone every day on their
The
way.
answer might be to lower the speed limit. That may
Yeah.
help a little
could
bit.
very well.
It doesn't change the fact that they're coming down the street, but they come down slower. I'll refer it, if you want me to I'll refer this to the Council Street and Light Committee.
I mean, does it really matter? I mean, because from what it sounds like, VDOT, there's no standing ground that the town can, unless.
I don't think VDOT's going to be supportive, but it is our street system.
We could go against VDOT.
Yes, I think you can.
Mr. Bagley, real quick.
Mr. Mayor, if you can remember a couple of years ago from DBI, we came in and asked, could we have the lights changed? So on a good day, you could just go through all 6 lights.
To have the timing changed.
Yeah, something to deter the truck driver.
Especially at Pizza Hut, if they hit the green light there and the green light at the Citizens Bank, they can be,
Yeah, or hit the red light, or hit the green light at Pizza Hut, red light in front of Trend, green light in front of Spencer's, then red light down in front of Slip In, you know.
None of them are
they gonna
timed
get
now,
tired
they're all
of
motion.
shifting gears.
right. Mr. Nash has made a good point. They basically are not timed now. If there's nothing on the side street, right, so like I said, what you're saying is there's no one on the side street to trigger that timer, you can have run the gamut.
Should be good.
Especially at 6 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah, 'cause
you know,
you
with
got
no
those
traffic
magnetic
or,
strips.
but let me refer this issue to the Street and Light Committee just because, let's have committees look. Let's just do it. Let's-
to have something.
We're taking this very seriously. It is an issue.
You got a problem, you really got no
Nowhere to go.
acceptable alternate route. If you don't get out and condemn some property and do some mighty nasty things to people that are gonna be very unpopular and build a acceptable type bypass, you don't have anything.
No, we don't. I will say this though, because of Brown Street being so well done, more and more vehicular traffic that's not truck traffic is using that street, which the overall volume on Main Street may be the same or less because of Brown Street's efficiency for passenger vehicles and not big trucks. Really? Oh, well, lunchtime with land of restaurants, absolutely. I mean, it's no doubt. All right, I'll refer that to the Street and Light Committee. Under my mayor's minute, the only thing I want to say is, folks, we made national news, and I know for a lot of people it caused them great anxiety last Tuesday night. In my 10 years as mayor, I've never had so many positive comments about Blackstone. Not about the political event and the moderator and all that, but people, there's a meeting going to be in Blackstone this coming Thursday. A gentleman came from Richmond, he'd never been to Blackstone before, he's got some connections. He wants to make Blackstone a big day trip place for people from Richmond. He wants to help Blackstone have another festival. We'll be meeting at 10 o'clock Thursday morning at the Herb Cottage. Anybody who wants to come can come. His name is Mr. Peter Kaufman of Richmond. He's a very impressive fella, and he's got a lot of friends, a lot of folks in high places, and I think that the exposure for our town has been very positive. And I will say, Ms. Daphne Cole asked the question of the night to Congressman Bratt that really got the town hall engaged about the environment, and that was probably one of the better questions of the night.
I did want to say, the Washington Post, the reporter, when he was talking to me, and as he looked around, he goes, you know, Blackstone is a really nice looking town. He goes, how did you do that? You know, because, and I said, well, we had a grant, and we had low-cost loans, and we had a master plan to set this up so that that's what's made it look so good. He goes, you know, like the signage, I mean, he noted all those things. So the DBI did a good job, I mean, excellent job, because everybody was impressed with downtown. Because I was on that line.
You were.
I was the third one on the line, and I just listened to the other people, and they did ask about Blackstone, and it was time to go.
That was great. Mr. Munker had a point.
Something of a humorous note,
Sorry. Yeah, I'll get you one.
something
Yes.
of a humorous note.
Yes.
That was on CBS News at 5:30. About 5 minutes to 6, I got a call from Sunset, Louisiana. Said, did you know Blackstone was on the news? It was my sister.
That's great. That's great. At this point, we have citizen comments before we go to closed session. You can get your way.
No, no,
Any citizens want to ask any questions?
please.
And we have the police report in your packet. Any questions of the chief? Police report. Karen Waldron.
I still would like to know about revisiting the idea of paving the hole.
I could give you a little history. There was a proposal by former Councilman Eden to have a mixed use of trees and some parking spaces, and council at that time chose to go with the town square concept. Got a big grant to do a lot of drainage improvement in that area. And I was pro parking lot, but I will say I can't say
We were
that.
turned down on a parking lot grant.
And we were turned down on a parking lot grant. That's true. We had a plan where you enter on the Main Street side and exit the alley. It's never too late, but members of council, I think the square has support at this time.
Environmentally, it's much better, because it's actually, we're doing too much impermeable pavements, and in there you've got the pavers, so the water, when it rains, it's very environmentally sound, much better situation than putting that hot.
Very good, very good.
I did have a question for
Yes,
the
Mr.
chief. I was
Harris.
looking, last month I was able to actually see how many tickets we wrote for speeding. And since it was brought up tonight, I was looking, I
No.
don't see any for speeding this month. Is that, I mean, I don't even see a category for
I didn't see
speeding.
it either.
So just let us know, please. Because, I mean, it obviously sounds like it's an issue. I mean, if we need to start asking to be a little more strict, then we need to do it.
Anyone else before we go into closed session? Mr. Lee Scott.
Please, I want to say something.
We, a couple of months ago, we were talking about maybe selling the water, and we were supposed to check in on that with some
Yeah.
company.
Listen to Petersburg. That same company went to.
We were talking, Mr. Scott mentioned the fact that we had a discussion about 2 or 3 months ago about a firm that was interested in taking over our water
Aqua.
plant.
The aqua thing.
Haven't heard. We provided them with all the documentation. We'll get back to
They're the one, they're getting ready, or attempting to purchase Petersburg, city of Petersburg water, and they're not getting good response. Their rates would go up by like double or something, so.
Oh, I think you can count on that.
Oh, yeah, so I don't think,
I remember we had said we were gonna check into it, but I never.
They've
heard
got
anything
everything
from
they
them.
need, and we're just waiting a response on their part. They may be busy in Petersburg and they don't have time to get to it, but.
Before Ms. Thompson says something, Mr. William Clark had his hand raised.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you, Mayor, for your quick response on that, with that raccoon and town manager and police chief for walking the neighborhood and found the neighborhood that was going on. There was a lot of kids around, but we still got an old wild cat running around. But I really appreciate y'all coming down my little neighborhood and making it safe for the kids.
Thank you, Mr.
I'm
Clark.
gonna tell you, probably this week or next, Jamie Holly and I, we don't have an animal control officer that I'm aware of that can.
Yeah.
We were down there the other night because the animal control officer had gone back to Amelia, so we didn't have one available, so, but we felt like we needed to let folks know what's going on, at Jamie's recommendation. So we did canvass door to door, but, Jamie and I, and if an officer's available, are gonna go door to door and actually check it.
That's nice, y'all did.
Make sure people's got them. Hey, we had an issue down here, does your dog have tag? I don't know if it's an enforcement issue, that's why I'm not worried about taking them to the
well,
cop.
that's a courtesy.
A shot for your dog.
Because the skunk did have puncture wounds, so some animal
Yeah.
has been exposed to rabies. Yes.
At 9:30 this morning, I had 2 great big dogs that big in the backyard at my house on Academy. And they're brown, they've got speckles in them. They're not pit bulls, I don't think. I don't know exactly what they are, but they were great big dogs.
There's been
And
4 of
I-
them together.
Huh?
There's been 4 of them
Well,
together.
I went out to the back, I stood on the deck and I watched them, they went back
She's not
over.
weird than that.
You know where the light is, the big house they did.
Chris.
I think they may belong to one of those 3 houses, and this is not the first time those same dogs have come over there.
That's Chris Lesbier, and we thank you for that observation. It's an observation that unfortunately happens too often in our town. I believe Ms. Thompson wanted to say something.
This is in reference to our committee, the employment committee. And when we met, all 3 of us thought what Chief brought to us about the officer. And we all said, yes, we thought it was a good idea to let him bring his time over. But then we get here, y'all act like y'all didn't vote for it. That's what I don't understand. We vote for one thing and.
Refer this to council.
Right, but we had said we were in favor of it, but when we get here, we probably still would have lost, but you didn't support it after we brought it before the council. That's what I'm saying. If we supported it then, why didn't we support it tonight? So that left me the lone duck.
Well, I think Mr. Green's had some of those tales too.
Yeah, I've had it happen to me.
Well,
I think everybody has.
If you're gonna change your mind, you need to tell the chairperson ahead of time, I changed my mind.
Anything else before we go into closed session?
I do want to bring to your attention on Friday after the board packets have been completed.
Mr. Van Norbeck has the floor.
I received notification from the Department of Environmental Quality that the underground storage tank abatement that we've done at the town shop was acceptable to DQ, and they consider the matter closed. On the underground storage tanks, also attached, I think Jennifer put it at your table, there's also a letter from Cornerstone Engineering, Bill Daugherty's outfit, and he did some chromium testing, and he felt like there was no additional need for sampling, testing, or wells, and we have provided this to the potential buyers, and we hope to hear a positive response from them that we can move forward. The property isn't perfect. There are still some residues of TPH but below levels which DEQ feels like we need to continue or do more abatement. And so hopefully this will be satisfactory to the buyers and we can move forward.
So you believe there's a good likelihood we can sell this property and build the tax rolls?
Oh, yeah, if not to these guys, to somebody. But a lot of it is contingent on the fact that we have municipal water. A groundwater drinking well, I think, would still be
yeah.
problematic.
Right on, right on. All right, thank you, Mr. Norbeck. Anything else? We have a listed closed session for personnel for hiring, I guess, is it one person or two people? Two people. And we have legal matters, which I think probably ought to be amended to litigation, I believe. That we have actual or probable litigation, not just legal matters. Who would like to make a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Scott. Mr. Moncur, seconds. All in favor of going in closed session, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
As long as we can have a 2-minute potty break.
Yes, indeed. 2-minute recess.
Hey, we'll